Hey everybody, first of all, welcome back to learning, I guess. I mean, I know we're not in school, but we are moving along with content and grades today, so welcome back to school, I guess. I know you're all joyed to be here. First of all, the expectation kind of moving forward is that you're checking in every day to Google Classroom. I will be posting something almost every day, whether it be a video, a worksheet, a few problems, a quiz, just an update. I will be posting something every day, and the expectation from you is that you are checking in every day. Normally in class, we do a notes section every day. So for example, tomorrow we're starting 8.4. That would take us one day. Now that we moved to online, that notes section is 2 pages, 1 page front, 1 page back. We're going to do 1 sheet of paper per day. So if there's a front and back side of notes, that will take us 2 days. Tomorrow we're only going to do the front side. Then Thursday we'll do the back side of that note section. One thing for you guys to understand is that the math just kind of meant we decided that it's important to teach you the important things moving forward. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get to everything we wanted to. But for seniors, that means we want to teach you the stuff that you're going to need in college. And for juniors, that means we want to teach you the stuff that you're going to need in your classes next year. I will be updating Skyward as we move along in this. There will be usually just 1 point per day. So I will have a short assignment each day, and you will get a 1 or a 0 on Skyward. We'll also have some quizzes thrown in. It'll be 5 points per quiz, and being that your grades are pass or incomplete, a passing grade is 60%, so that's 3 out of 5. You need at least a 3 out of 5 to pass the quiz. And if you don't pass, you can retake it. That's completely okay. I'm not stupid. I understand that there's no way for me to monitor you. So yeah, use your notes. I want you to kind of check some things, reference some things. I want you to do good here. This is a weird time, and not all of us are used to this, including myself. So, if you need help, just ask out for it. You can reach me through email or commenting on Google Classroom. Note sheets will still be used today. We're not actually going over one. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I will have a video of me talking through the notes, and then I'll upload a filled-in copy. You can use that, follow along with it, print it out, whatever you really want to do with it. I guess that moves us to today. So today we are, talking through a trig relationship sheet. Now this is usually a sheet I'd print out like on cardstock along with your unit circle, and I would hand it out, and we'd spend about 10 to 15 minutes going through it. Being that we're not in school, I can't really hand it to you, so I will upload a copy of this. If you have a printer, I would strongly suggest that you print it. Now, I get that probably 20% of you have a printer, so just save this to your desktop, and you're going to need this up whenever you're doing problems for the next week. Okay, so we're going to start off with the reciprocal function. So you should remember that our 3 basic functions are sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine of theta, cosine of theta, tangent theta. Now, the first reciprocal functions, these we already know. We already know all of these. Cosecant is 1 over sine. These are reciprocal. If we take sine and we flip it, we get if we take sine and flip it, we will get 1 over sine, which is equal to cosecant. Same thing with secant. Secant is 1 over cosine. Cotangent is 1 over tangent. Now, the weird thing about cotangent is there's 2 of them. Because it's a reciprocal just means flipping something. So you got to remember that tangent is sine over cosine. And if you remember back to our unit circle, that is sine is y and cosine is x. So tangent is really y over x. You can write that right on your sheet, your trig relationship sheet. I understand, like I said, that you might not be able to print that out. But if you do print it out, you can write this right on there. You also need to know that cosine is x and sine is y. So again, the difference between tangent and cotangent is just flipping the y and the x. Okay, next up, relationships with negatives. This is kind of a goofy one. If you have a negative inside the parentheses by the theta, you can just move that outside. That goes for all of these functions. Oh, no, it doesn't. Excuse me. It goes for sine and cosecant. If for a cosine, if it's negative on the inside, it just goes away. So for sine and cosecant, and for tangent and cotangent, the negative, if there's a negative on the inside, it goes to the outside. If there's a negative on the inside of tangent and cotangent, it goes to the outside. However, for cosine, it goes away. I don't necessarily expect you to memorize this. I expect you to recognize a pattern and then look at this sheet when you are solving problems. Again, I don't expect you to understand, or excuse me, I don't expect you to memorize that a negative cosine of theta disappears. I do expect you to be able to say, hey, there's a negative there. That's on my trig relationship sheet. I can see what that simplifies down to. Okay. Next up, we have the Pythagorean relationships. So the Pythagorean, that should be ringing a bell in your head. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, now the key here is the squareds. Whenever you see a sine squared or a cosine squared or a tangent squared or a secant squared or a cosecant squared, your head should be dinging, ooh, this is part of a Pythagorean relationship. Okay, now there's no right or wrong way to kind of memorize this or just have it be like in your brain. But you just got to understand that sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. Tangent squared of theta plus 1 is cosecant squared. And cotangent squared of theta plus 1 is cosecant of theta. And again, I don't expect you to memorize this. I expect you to, however, recognize, ooh, I have a trig function that's to the second power. When you see that, you should say that's somewhere on my trig identity sheet. Get it out and look where you see it. Okay, next up, the co-function relationships. Also, guys, I don't expect you to, oh, well, the co-function relationship states that the sine of theta is equal to cosine of 90 minus theta. You don't need to know that. You just need to recognize that, hey, when you see a 90 minus theta, that appears on our trig identity sheet. So again, whenever you see a 90 minus theta, 90 minus theta, 90 minus theta, 90 minus theta, all of these, you should think this simplifies down to something easier. So that kind of brings me to my next point. All of these relationships are just going to help us simplify big, long expressions down to shorter ones. Okay, so what I have now is just like 2 or 3 practice problems. I think I put 2, 3, just 2. Just 2 practice problems that are going to be just like your homework for today. So the first one says cosecant squared theta minus 1. So right away, this should be dinging bells in your head. Ooh, I have a cosecant squared. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, okay, where is cosecant squared on my trig relationships sheet? Hopefully you're saying, oh, well, that's right here. So what I would do then is I would rewrite this basic trig function. So what does it say on the trig relationships sheet? It says 1 plus cotangent squared of theta equals cosecant squared theta. And now what they're trying to do is they're saying, hey, can I rearrange this guy to make it look like this guy? Well, what's on the left-hand side of the yellow underline one? It says cosecant squared theta. I have a cosecant squared theta right here, minus 1. So now you just look and say, okay, well, is there a 1 on the opposite side of this equation? Is there a 1 on the other side of cosecant squared theta of the green one? And yeah, there is. So how do you move it over? Minus 1, minus 1. That's pencil. These cancel. You get cotangent squared of theta equals cosecant squared theta minus 1. Now you should realize, hey, this is the exact same thing as this. So what does it equal? Cotangent squared of theta. So again, we reorganized. I might erase all the highlights to make this a little clearer to see what I'm talking about. We reorganized the original the original Pythagorean relationship, that trig identity, we reorganized this guy and made it look like this. It's the same concept as saying x plus 7 equals 12, minus 7 minus 7, x equals 5. It's the same concept. These are the same things. We just did a little bit more. Similar concept. These are the exact same things. They're telling us the exact same idea. We just reorganized it, made it look a little different. That's the name of the game today. Okay, next up on number 2, it is number 2. Where the heck is it? Okay, sorry. Cotangent of 90 minus theta. Again, I don't expect you to say, oh my goodness, that's a cofunction relationship. That's awesome. What I need you to recognize is, boom, it's a 90 minus theta. So if we look in our cofunction relationships, where is there a cotangent of 90 minus theta? Well, right there, cotangent of 90 minus theta. What is that equal to? Tangent of theta. Boom, right there. Now, some of you may think, well, yeah, no duh, it says it right on my sheet. Why are you making me do this today? Only because in order for you to move forward, you got to be really comfortable with all of these trig functions on your relationship sheet. So today's assignment is going to be kind of simple, some of them. Like some of them are just going to say, what is tangent of negative theta equal to? Well, you're just going to look at your sheet and say, whoa, well, that's equal to this. It should take you not much time. That's the point. I don't want to kill you with work. Should be in and out doing this in like a half hour between watching my video and finishing the sheet. I'm going to make this due at midnight tomorrow. So midnight or 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, April, what is tomorrow, the 15th? Again, if you have issues, I didn't say this before, but if you have a Wi-Fi issue, or if you are watching brother and sister, or you need to work because your parents aren't right now and you got to help out with money right now, you got to let me know that. And if you're not comfortable letting me know, please let your counselor know, because the expectation is that you're logging on every day to complete the work. Now, for some people, I get that. It's that every day is not going to be an option. Just reach out to me or somebody else, and as long as I know, I am more than happy to accommodate and work with you, but I got to know that. Okay, on that note, I will post this video along with the assignment, and I will talk